What is going on, everyone? Thank you for joining for Instagram and Facebook. Instagram, if everything is good on the audio end, please let me know. Just want to make sure I'm doing this kind of DIY way, so I'm recording my screen on my computer. So trying something out, trying it differently, just because I want to be able to reach to Instagram as well. Because I know there's a lot of people that follow the politics scene on Instagram. So thank you. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Eric Velasquez. If you're new to this channel or this page, I'm basically interviewing all the candidates that are on the election coming up here in the city of San Antonio. Everyone should have an equal say no matter what. So that's my goal, is just to hit everybody. So that way they could have a somewhat of a platform to reach out and give their take, but in a more intimate setting, to where we're a one-on-one interview and we're having just a real good honest conversation. So that's the whole point of the show. So let me go ahead and bring our next guest here. What's going on, Matt? What's going on? Oh, can't hear you. Hello? Can't hear you. Sorry, give us a second. Instagram, if you can just give me a thumbs up to make sure that the audio is okay. Awesome, thanks. So I do have audio on Instagram. Matt, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Did you check to make sure that the mute button's off on the bottom of the stream? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can't hear you. I heard you earlier on the. Okay. Oh. All right. Hello.
Oh, yeah.
All
I
right.
just
Cool.
I just switched over to my phone since I thought that might be a little bit easier.
Okay. Cool. All right. So go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, hello, my name is Matthew Guana. I'm a former student of UTSA, born and raised in San Antonio, and I'm running for District 1 City Council. I'm running because I believe the city has a great opportunity and for the future. This city is special. It's the seventh largest city in the nation, 11th largest in North America. So we definitely have the opportunity to grow big and to grow large, but we should grow sustainably and with being conscious of the environment. So, we want to bring San Antonio into the 21st century. I know now City Council loves to tout how much San Antonio is in the 21st century, but I think they need a little bit of help. So that's where we can come in.
Yeah. And so when you say getting big, I mean, do you think we're not getting big enough already?
Oh, no,
Or
no, no. We're plenty big, actually. We have a ton of space in our jurisdiction. More than NYC or in some of these bigger cities. We have a lot of land to take care of, and that spreads our city resources pretty thin, and it's also the impact on the environment of urban sprawl is pretty negative for our drinking water. We have a lot of development over the Edwards Aquifer, that impacts how much water we have to drink and the quality as well. So I think San Antonio is plenty big. we'll concentrate, but we want to concentrate back on, bringing the city back to downtown.
All right. I mean, we kind of do see a little bit of growth in District One with all the new apartment buildings and all that stuff going on, especially like off of Broadway. That's still District One, I believe. So I mean, with that, how do you plan on balancing gentrification with the development down there?
Mm. Well, what we see right now is, the city condemning old homes. So we're gonna stop. We're gonna, try to put a stop to that. A lot of homes in District One, and all districts, within 410 have been hit with, fix this citation or your house gets demolished. That actually happened to my campaign manager's father. His house that he had owned for decades was torn down in District One. So we want to stop the demolitions of houses that people occupy. So that would be our first step in stopping gentrification, because you stop them knocking down buildings, then a developer can come in, snatch up an empty lot. And we see a lot of empty lots in the downtown area, especially on the west side near uh, north San Marcos Street. There's a lot of empty lots as more as you get towards the industrial area. So developers don't necessarily need to come in and knock down homes to build affordable housing. There's plenty of empty lots downtown. Quincy Street, where it ends at I-35. It's a great location. There's just so much parking space downtown that could be turned into affordable housing. So we don't want to necessarily move people out of the neighborhoods. We want to help bring people in, and there's already plenty of space. So,
Yeah. It's a good point. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about the demolition, but that's a very good point about that. So what made you do that jump, man? Like from thinking about running to just say, you know what, I'm gonna throw my hat in, because it's not an easy task to run for office. So what was that thought process for you, and what did that look like for you specifically?
for me, it really started in 2019 after I sat down with Mr. Trevino, along with Move Texas and Public Citizen, some great organizations that help people get out to vote and register to vote. We sat down with Councilman Trevino and his aide, and we discussed the role CPS had in the Climate Action and Adaptation Program, and how big a voice CPS had compared to the community, which was advocating for more renewable energy and the such, less natural gas and coal, which we saw fail 2 weeks ago in the snowstorm. Uh, so we came to them in 2019, asking, hey, the citizens of this community, all of San Antonio, not just District 1, want cleaner air and affordable energy. And in order to bring that, we should have CPS invest in those renewable technologies. And that's really what we were discussing with him. And something he said to us, really struck me as odd. He's like, i'm not hearing that I'm not hearing that so much from the community. Why don't you go out, get some more opinions, then come back to me on that? And to me, that just really rubbed me the wrong way, because he is basically saying, I can't do anything about it, but you can. And when I went to my law professor, former councilman Robert Thompson, councilman from, in the late 80s and early 90s, uh, he he told me that, there's a lot that Mr. Trevino can do, and that he may not be leading on, because city council controls the budget for CPS, and if you control the money, you can control what they spend it on. Um, Essentially, what he told me. So it just rubbed me the wrong way to have the most progressive city councilman, to my understanding, not be as progressive or as, have the political will to take this on. So, you know, it, if he didn't want to do it, I would be more than glad to. And that's really where the idea for first running for city council came up. I never wanted to be running for city council. I was always advocating for the environment, with different city departments like transportation and capital improvements and the
Mhm.
parks department. And those meetings with those departments led me to eventually meeting Mr. Trevino. So this has probably been a long time coming, because I didn't just start paying attention to the city like last year, like city happenings and stuff. I've been I've been in the weeds, so to say.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's it's interesting what you're saying. I mean, so what are some of the things that you feel like you could improve on from the current elected official? Obviously, kind of touched on that part, but what else would you like to see that you would like to improve on?
We would like to see, as far as environmental reform, you know, developers essentially control the process, essentially. So we want to give, that power back to the community, and that would be, not letting developers skirt the city tree ordinance, cutting down old growth trees uh, to develop more land and gentrify the area. Uh, Another area would be CPS, controlling their budget, reining it in, as well with SAWS. We've seen SAWS with their Vista Ridge pipeline project try to deliver the city of San Antonio poor quality drinking water. Uh, Another thing we will also go after is the city development code. The developers only get away with uh, you know, tearing up the environment and gentrifying a neighborhood only because the city development code allows them to. So we would go in and try to amend those ordinances, as well as the city charter, getting some environmental protections in there with legislation and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. There was a thing that I had posted the other day regarding the Weston Urban. I don't know if you've seen that so what are your thoughts on the things that we're allowing to get done to these, I guess, to the development? They spent 7.4. They basically secured $7.5 million in San Antonio subsidy. Um, if you look down here, you'll see that they basically they got $1 million in SAWS fee waivers, and then property tax rebates 6.5 million. Um, and then basically that was the 1 million for SAWS fee waivers from the TERS, the tax increment reinvestment zone.
Mm.
So I mean, is this some of the things that you would like to see not happen in District One?
Definitely. We see the subsidies. We see the story all the time, especially in the downtown area, which District 1 compromises a large portion of. We see that these subsidies being given out, that the city will build natural gas lines and water lines and electricity for these new developments, basically using taxpayer money, you know, to, help these developers gentrify downtown. And I mean, and now we see, but we won't see them, using millions of dollars in subsidies to help people's houses not get demolished. So uh, it's I wish people would look into it more, because I definitely, what's it called, uh, raised an eyebrow, last year
Mhm.
when I heard about this, that developers are, getting these subsidies, pretty much having the city build, build them, uh, apartments, and they're all for profit. No affordable housing in these units. The city defined affordable housing as $1,000 a month. That's not affordable. That's basically a mortgage. I mean, that's not a rent. So we want to bring back rent control. I know the city powers on rent control are pretty limited, so we will fight for that. And probably.
A-
um,
And question, like how much is too much, like city control? I mean, because you also have to think about, um, are we giving the government too much control over some of these things?
Oh, definitely. If they ask the citizenry, would you like to use these city subsidies for these developers? I bet you that most of these citizens would not like to give free money away. So, that's big government right there working against the citizenry. So when we say, oh, we're gonna, come in and try to make rent control thing, that might scare business, but in reality, we're really trying to help the middle class, and people might say that is big business or big government reaching in, but we already see big government reaching in and taking people's homes, you know, through demolitions, through eminent domain, through these things. So I think people just need to be brought up to speed on the situation, and they would see for themselves that the city council as it works right now is working against the community.
And I just want to clarify, are you saying to replace a a big government that
Mhm.
doesn't help the people with a big government that helps the people? Or are you just saying you don't want any big government, you just want something to help with the people itself?
Well, right now we see socialism for the rich. We see the government giving subsidies to rich people, building developments. But we don't have socialism for the poor. We see that the poor have to go through some sort of rugged capitalism, that they have to pull themselves by their bootstraps and do all the stuff to get themselves wealthy. But when it comes to the wealthy, we give them subsidies and tax abatements and stuff like that. So right now we have big government working for big business. We need to get the government working for the people.
Okay. So, but that's what I'm saying is, so, but you still do want big government, or do you want like a smaller government, but still working for the people itself?
I believe big government is a misnomer because it's because we have big government now. So if I were to come in, we would probably try to, you know, we would try to audit the situation and see where government power is being used in a negative light, such as through housing demolitions and stuff like that, and subsidies for businesses. And we would
Okay.
try to give that back to the people. So we would use the same, instead of giving 1 million to developers, we would try to give, maybe a couple 100,000 to people so that they can fix their pipes that burst or something.
Gotcha. I got you. Okay. And I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to clarify because I didn't want that to come across to anybody that any other different way. But uh, now I do want to, because we actually had talked about this yesterday in the interview that I had yesterday, and we were looking at the tax records, the property taxes for two different embassy suites. Right, one. I can't remember where one was at. It was somewhere like I think on the north side, and then one was on the south side. We noticed that the one on the north side, the property taxes were going to the community, and the one on the south side, they were exempt, so they weren't paying any property taxes to the city. So, and that comes to say, well, why are these companies not paying property taxes, and all the people that own homes are having to shell out that money to compensate for that? So what is something that you would like to see done in your district regarding the property taxes for people itself?
Definitely. And what we see is that the hotel industry, Wyndham, Hilton, they try to pride themselves as suppliers of jobs in the city. What they're doing is using using the city, essentially. These big industries like hotels, like you mentioned, the embassy suites, they get huge tax breaks, and we desperately need to rein that in.
Well,
Like,
and that's the thing is one embassy suites wasn't, and the other one was,
mhm,
and that's the weird thing is it wasn't even the business, it's where it's located, and that was kind of worrisome.
mhm. Definitely. We would work with our District 10 colleague, Mr. Perry, you know, who runs the north side, to see what the situation is with that, because that's very concerning. But we see, but it's no different. We see it all the time. A lot of projects on the north side, like Six Flags. Six Flags was, when they came in the 90s, they were allowed to build because they were given a promise of 20 years or so with no taxes. So when we say to a business, you don't have to pay taxes, we're really saying, hey, you don't have to care about this community. Just use it up, as ever you see fit. So we want to, and really that's big government not looking out for the community, but looking out for their business interests.
Yeah. Shannon says, can you discuss your plan to address the homeless issue in District 1, specifically Delview? I know that's a big hot topic right now, where D1 field offices Trevino is very focused on the homeless issue, and his homeless initiative was granted 560,000 of city budget and 1.6 million CARES Act for his homeless initiative. However, the neighborhood and D1 have been turned into an encampment within our neighborhood. What is your plan?
Okay, so I recently spoke to a Delview resident the other day. She lives right on Lamonda, right across the street from the Walmart, and she said that she fears for her safety sometimes, but she understands that these people, at the end of the day, they need help, and the city, plain and simple, has not been getting them that help. We through my volunteer efforts, cleaning the creek, Almost Creek, and picking up trash with Basuda Batch, we run into homeless encampments quite often, and we speak to the homeless, and they tell us that they don't want to use shelters like Haven for Hope. I often heard many people who are houseless quote, Haven for Hope as Haven for dope, heroin for dope, because they don't feel safe going to these shelters, because often they're prioritized for women and children, rightfully so, but it forces a lot of these single men to start walking the streets. So we want to increase, maybe a homeless shelter, not a huge one like Haven for Hope, because we see that, plain and simple, it is not working. Uh, we would like to not only increase, the number of homeless shelters, but increase SAPD's mental health unit, so we can get people who do need mental health off the streets and getting the medical care they need, and decrease their involvement with the criminal justice system, because often these people are thrown into jail and then released right back on the street, and they never receive the help they need. So we would come at it with there. We know SAPD's budget is nearly $500 million. So I don't see why they can't increase their mental health unit with a few more psychiatrists and doctors and nurses to assist those who have drug problems and those who do have mental illness.
I hope that answers your question, Shannon. And again, anybody that's watching, if you would like to ask a question directly, please do so. You can also jump into the actual live stream itself just by clicking the link that I placed in Facebook itself in the comments. You can actually jump in and actually ask the question. So please do so. Let's get engaged and make sure that we ask whatever questions we have for these candidates. So um
If I could say just a
yeah.
little bit more about the homeless topic, the area by Delview has always been somewhat of a homeless gathering area. I've lived in the city all my life, and I've seen that area. I've ridden the bus in that area many times. There was always a problem with homeless people defacing the property, or using the shelters, making them unsanitary. And Trevino was councilman back then, so it surprises me why it takes him 6 years, and also not just him, but the rest of the city council and the city department that's in charge of this. Why it takes them, until COVID to finally address something that they failed to address for, the past decade.
Gotcha. So what's your vision then? Because I mean, we've seen a lot of issues with red tape and people not wanting, rehabilitation centers. But I did post yesterday that I guess Sarah SARA homeless, they're having a what's it called? I blanked out. A little like a community area
Hmm.
where they are going to have it's a rehabilitation. Let me just bring that up real quick. um so what's your vision to do something like that in D1, because
Hmm.
what's happening right now is not working, right? So what do you think you can do to kind of turn that situation around, cuz money seems to not be in it, like money seems to not be working, right? So what would you like to see though exactly to help change that, because it's not getting done.
Yeah, and really, homelessness is a cornucopia of issues that leads to homelessness. It's losing your job. It's not having affordable housing. It's drug problems. It's stuff that can't be solved by just one solution. It's going to take a myriad of solutions to solve this problem. So I don't want to say, we're gonna we're gonna uh, uh, do something like Austin and buy
Right.
a hotel. That we definitely have the hotel space. I mean, there's plenty of hotels downtown with the Hilton and the Wyndham properties. But again, the issue is affordable housing, mental illness, drug use, and not being able to get a job. So we need to help these. We need to increase our city services, so our existing city services, though, so that they're reaching these people, and and even if they don't want help, what's it called? We still need to be offering assistance to them.
Okay. Um, Sarah is great, but it's focused on elderly homeless. This is true. Pastor Robles had a tiny home. That is true as well. Yeah, the city shut Pastor Robles' stuff down. So it's things like that that we're kind of not going in the right direction. So I mean, I know it's not going to be just you. So how can you convince the other council people to maybe go through with something like this to remove that red tape?
The other city council members, for the most, the progressives. Let me retract that. The progressive city council members are on board with solutions. Even solutions Trevino has been brought up, but again, it's the conservative council members who are really pushing back on solutions. So there's a decade of work to be done, within these 2 years of our term. So we need to bring that political will, that fire, that we need to bring that to city council, because it just seems that they are too comfortable. They are, they are not having to live with these problems that we in the community are having to live with. So it's not bothering them. There's no fire under their butt to get it done. And I have that because when I walk out my building, I can walk down the road and I see panhandlers, and I want them to have a job, and have affordable housing, not having to rely on the goodness of other people, because uh, everybody is struggling. So I want to bring everybody up, you know homeless, middle class, lower class, everybody a leg up.
Okay. Um, so what are some things that you would like to see done as far as reducing spending, and being more efficient with the budget?
Mm. Yes, our city budget is about $3 billion. You know, other cities wish they had that type of money to spend. So really, right now, I think we're pretty good on taxes and everything. I know there's a lot of fuss made about rising property taxes and stuff like that. Um, we have plenty of money, uh, but the thing is, a good chunk of that is not being spent on the community. It's going uh, into policing. $500 million is spent on police. Our restricted funds. We should look into that and see if we can tap into our restricted funds. I know the general fund is really what's looked at, but we should look onto the others. I'm a former auditor. I would like to do an audit on our budget, see how much is being spent, when, where, by who. Our city manager's budget is $500,000 annually. So, it didn't seem to bother Mr. Trevino when Cheryl Scoley was getting paid $500,000 annually, along with her other benefits. But, you know, so the overspending, we would try to cut back on that. We see $100 million being spent on the city sidewalk budget program, but when you see the crews building these sidewalks, it's usually like three people standing around watching one person pour concrete. Like, uh, we need to be using our city crews more effectively. Uh, we need to, and that's one way we can cut down on overspending, is increasing our efficiency of our city crews. We have right now city crews mowing the creek, transportation and capital improvements. We have them come in and mow uh, creeks, and that's one way to save money right there, because I know people have been bringing up that they have to mow their back alley even though it's city property. So why do we have crews mowing, destroying riparian environment in our city creeks when they should be cleaning the alleys of trash behind residents' homes? Stuff like just very simple things that can save us a ton of money in the long run.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Um, Shannon says, so do you support defunding SAPD?
Well, I mean, like I said, I would want to expand the mental health unit of SAPD. So, that right there would probably need funding. So it would not be defunding, but we want reallocation of the money that they do have towards the community. So, uh, that would mean looking at the budget of SAPD, going through it line by line, and seeing how much is being spent where. Do we really need these new police cruisers? Do we really need this new SWAT vehicle? Do we really need more tear gas to fire at our people? Do we really need all this, or can this be accomplished with a drone and a camera, like what takes 5 police officers? We'll be increasing the use of, we'll try to increase the use of technology within the force to save money and protect officers, uh, as well as seeing where else we can save money to put back into our community.
Is there any other like areas that you would like to look at um, for reallocation of funds, or just strictly just from SAPD?
Right now, if you look on the city's website, it shows the budget. It breaks it down. You can see that right now, SAPD is the city department that is receiving, a disproportionately large amount of funds compared to, say, the Parks Department or capital improvements, or the list goes on. All these city programs that are not getting the funding they need because SAPD is overfunded.
Okay. Um, so well, okay. So just question though. So if they are overfunded though, okay. Well, I guess you already said that about just trying to find out. But do you also think maybe some city positions and city entities are also overfunded or not scrutinized enough to see where that money is going? Because
Oh, mhm.
from I know from a military aspect, and I've heard also from a city aspect that you're given a budget. If you don't use all that budget, then you could lose it, and so people just start spending whatever they can
Yep, yep,
on whatever it is, and so
yeah.
you know
Gotta
so
gotta waste all the ammo so you can get more ammo.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, would you like to also look into other entities, not just SAPD?
Oh, no doubt. We would plan a citywide audit of all city services, whether even reaching out to SAWS and CPS, which are municipal utilities. We would see where this money is being spent. I'm sure. $3 billion is a ton of money, and it's hard to keep track of that amount of money. I'm sure. So we want to come in fresh, look over it with a fresh pair of eyes, audit uh, city services, city departments, see where this money is being spent, because we saw once people were aware of how much the city manager, Cheryl Scoley, was being paid and her benefits. They said, "Hey, this is too much. She is not doing a good enough job to be being paid $500,000 annually." So, I'm sure if we come in, look at with a fresh pair of eyes,
Mhm.
do this audit, and we could probably potentially find other positions in the city government that are also being overpaid, similarly to our city manager.
Gotcha. Okay, that works. Um, have you ever heard of ranked choice voting?
Mhm. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Was this something that you think would be really beneficial for our city?
Oh, I fully support ranked choice voting. It's just a better way of voting. Period. There's a great video by CGP Gray on YouTube, uh, explaining this in fuller detail. Ranked choice voting. I highly encourage anybody watching this video to watch it after. You're confused or on the fence about ranked choice voting. They already have it, and other states, Europe. It's just a
Australia,
weather.
I think Australia was the biggest one that they've used it for years, and I was telling people it's new here. It's a new concept here. I think it's 2019 is when it started coming here and actually being enacted. But yeah, I mean, and for everybody watching, just so you know, I'll go ahead and just quickly explain it. Uh, every election has to have a 50+1. Every person that's running that wants to win, the clear winner would have to have a 50+1 percentage to win that seat. And if not, then we have a runoff, which costs the city $8 to $10 million every single time we hold a runoff election. Just think about that. $8 to $10 million, and with a low voter turnout to begin with as well. So what happens with ranked choice voting is we would have everybody vote just once. You just vote once. You don't have to do another runoff. So you just vote the one time. And especially in races like D2 and D3 and D5, where there's a ton of candidates, this would definitely be handy because we know there's not going to usually be a majority winner. There usually isn't. Um, so what happens with ranked choice voting is you have all your candidates, you pick them in order by rank, however you want to rank them. And if your candidate is last, then they drop that out and then they go to round two automatically. It's all done automatically. You don't have to do anything. Then your votes get tallied for your second choice, and so on and so forth until all the rounds have completed and there is a clear majority winner of 50+1 percent. And so again, that changes the game, especially with San Antonio. For us having to have runoff elections, this would create an instant runoff election, which completely removes that runoff, and we're saving $8 to $10 million, maybe more. I don't know if it's gone up since those last numbers, but that would also change the way our elections are, and it would remove that spoiler effect. And you actually have to you actually have the chance to be able to vote for who you want to, and it would give a clear indication of who the voters want to actually represent them. So but
It,
yeah, I always bring it up.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely a great idea for spending or saving money. We don't want to continue to spend millions of dollars annually on an election process that usually favors the incumbent, and we could make this more democratic through ranked choice voting.
Exactly. Again, if anybody has a question, please bring those questions in, or if you want to jump into the conversation on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, you can also just join in on the link and actually jump into the live stream as well. I'm gonna switch it up. I've been doing this with all the other candidates. So, what are your top three favorite small business restaurants in District One? If you do go out, I don't know. There's a lot of people that don't actually go out, but
Yeah. I don't want to make it seem like I've been going out every day, but I do enjoy. Due to quarantine, due to COVID, I pick up my food and then eat it in the park or at home or something. My favorite place by far is El Parmar. It's on the very north side of District 1. right as the barrier into Castle Hills, El Parmar, Mexican restaurant, amazing food. Another place, McDonald's.
No, no,
That's a
small
guilty
business, small
pleasure.
business,
It's
small
Mc-
business.
oh
Has to
yeah,
be
no,
small
no, definitely,
business.
definitely. And I just had to sneak that in there because
Uh,
they're a huge employer in our community, and I want to shout out, the workers there. Appreciate y'all very much. A small business though, number two would have to be Dab Cafe. It's right on San Pedro. A awesome place to get like a little coffee and you know a snack, empanada such. Another place,
you said Dab,
Dab.
DAB.
Yes, Dab Hemp Cafe
Okay,
on San Pedro. Yeah, it's a small coffee shop run by a great guy. Amazing place for coffee. Highly recommend. Right near Sac. Another place is the Banderia, the bakery. I love that place on West Ave and I-10. Amazing uh, bakery.
gotcha. What is it called?
The Panderia. Uh,
Okay,
yeah, I'm not sure if that's the
not to
official
be
name.
confused with the panaderia that's in downtown, right?
No, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. There's a ton, and
yeah,
that's why I love that small business bakery feel, because in order, I sincerely believe, like, in order to have a successful small community, you need places, like these small coffee shops, these small bakeries, these little restaurants, because they're what holds this community down.
definitely. And you said that was off of West Avenue and what?
Oh, I'm sorry, the La Popular Bakery.
Oh, I'm typing these in the comments so that way y'all can go back to it.
Awesome. Yeah.
A popular bakery. All right. All right. So I'm gonna put that on there. Um, all right. So what are hold on. Oh, what are some things that you feel that are not being utilized by the city to their full potential that maybe like a I don't know, a government entity or like a building or something that you're like, you know what, it's not being used. I would like to see something done with it
Oh,
that wouldn't cost taxpayer extra money, but
definitely. Two, I guess, actually, three answers. One, letting our engineers, uh, flex their muscles a little bit, because I spoke with our stormwater engineers before. Uh, I've spoken to our field crews in transportation and capital improvements, and usually they feel their opinion on how upper management should run their department, eh, their opinion, they feel, does not matter, or they don't have a voice. So one way that doesn't cost any money, we start, you know, listening to our city employees, listening to our city workers when they have a suggestion, or something, an improve suggestion improvement or such. Number two, we have a ton of empty plots, empty land in District 1. Very easy way to, have, to spend, no funds or anything, is, have volunteers go out and clean these areas that are greenways, empty lots, vacant areas, with, you have like a city worker supervise, or team up with organizations such as Basuda Bash or community organizers to really organize trash cleanup and pickup. Maybe we could offer extra credit to our high school students, our middle school students. Just incentives to help their community in their respective area. Say, costs the city no money, and makes our city look, brings out the beauty in our city,
Mhm.
because our city is beautiful. But it may not always look like that when there's beer bottles or trash bags strewn everywhere.
Now, in District 1, are there a lot of empty plots of land that are owned by the city, or they're just plots of land that are owned by, private entities that?
We would I'm sure I'm sure their own I'm sure the private land, a lot of these are Texas 97% privately owned, so I'm sure they are vacant, but these lots have been vacant for so long. It's very it's very evident that the people who do own these lots don't care about how this lot looks for the community. They clearly just care about owning the lawn or the lots, and they don't care about the maintenance or the look or how it reflects on the community. So we would find out who those people are, and we would put the pressure on them to fix up their empty lot so that it aligns with our goals for the city. uh, but there is a lot of green area that is city owned or at least city maintained that can be utilized for our community. Areas such as Almost Creek, Martinez Creek. These places are uh, for lack of a better word, like concrete abatements. These are like ditches, easements, designed in the 50s and 60s uh, for moving water away. And really, what we can do is use these areas, bring them back to nature. Areas like Almost Creek,
Mhm.
green, a community playground. I see many, kids playing in the creek, even though maybe they shouldn't. But there's nowhere else to have recreational time. There's nowhere else to play soccer. There's no one else. There's nowhere else to play tag. So we want to increase safe areas for people who have children, so they can raise their family in a safe environment, in a healthy environment.
Yeah, and that's something that kind of struck me odd is seeing some of the schools that the fields are locked. They have fences and they're completely locked, especially like on the weekend or something when there's nobody there. And it's almost like, well, why are these locked and we can't access them if my taxpayer money is going to them?
It's a great,
And
it's a
and my
great
kids can't play
observation.
on the playground, or
Yes.
play football on the football field.
See, and these are observations we all see, on a daily basis. And but it's funny that city council has done essentially nothing, or at least nothing in my area, to address this. Jackson Middle School, District 1, uh, they have beautiful tennis courts. They have a beautiful football field. They just remodeled it. Is it open for the public? Probably not. The elementary school across the street, not always open. Robert E. Lee, they have the football field open and track open, but not the brand new tennis courts.
Hmm.
So we have these areas, and and another candidate for uh, there was a candidate for District 5 who mentioned this. I'm blanking on his name, but he's a Harlandale ISD member. We have these community centers. They're called our high schools. So I want to look into working with the independent school districts on how we can give our community more access to the community's assets. These fields to play on, these areas to exercise in, the areas to play basketball, stuff like that. So and we not only want to look into that, but also creating more community centers. For example, places such as Vancouver, Seattle, they have these beautiful community centers scattered around the city. And we can have a safe place for people to play basketball. They don't have to go to you pay an exorbitant amount to work out at Gold's or LA Fitness. They can go to their community, and since they pay taxes, they have the right to use what's it called, the amenities there. So
Right. And let me touch on that because somebody had brought up, there was another candidate brought up the fact that some of these city community centers aren't open like all the time, or they're only open between certain hours because the city only has funding supposedly for staff to be there during certain times. So
mhm,
what do you say to that, to where we can maybe expand on that instead of just having it open a certain time?
mhm. Yeah, that's really troublesome to hear because I mean I've experienced it firsthand as well. You get to a city pool and it's dry or it's closed. Um, it's disappointing. But again, we have a $3 billion budget when we hear, oh, we don't have enough money to keep the community center that we promised y'all open, at a reasonable time. We should be scratching our heads wondering why is that? Why is it that, you know, my son or daughter can't go play volleyball because, we're overpaying the city manager hundreds of thousands of dollars when we could be paying that to 10 city employees, a good wage, creating 10 jobs versus one job that's not really doing a whole lot. So again, I'm just using the city manager as as an example. I'm sure there are plenty of other people in our city who are overpaid as well. So we wanna do an audit. That's exactly why we wanna do an audit and see where we can be reallocating funds to places such as community centers so we can get them staffed, you know, get people jobs, and eventually help the community.
Gotcha. What are some of the things that you are hearing from District 1 residents that is their top priority that they want fixed?
Well, we're saying really public safety and public transportation. Public safety with the homelessness issue, and this stuff like that. Public transportation not having, excuse me, not having you know a ride to your job, essentially. On public safety, uh, it's a large issue. We I've talked to an elderly resident who feels that there are more shootings in her area, even though statistically shootings are down in the city. So it's really we could look at it as a perception issue. People are perceiving they're not safe. So how do we help them perceive that they are feeling safe in their community? So what we can do right there is increase the amount of lighting on sidewalks and city streets. Right now, if you take a drive at night, you'll notice that maybe one half of the street is lit up, and the other half is conveniently unlit. So if you are a pedestrian walking at say 10 p.m. at night to HEB or the gas station, uh, you find that your route is unwalkable because or unsafe pretty much. So that decreases you know the amount of people walking to a business. If people don't feel safe around a business area, they just won't go, and that hurts everybody. Another thing with public safety, roads. If the roads are unsafe, that's money that's being spent on vehicle maintenance. It's added stress, so it comes with we can look at it as a mental health issue. When city streets are in poor condition, you know, and again, we should be looking at why we have a $3 billion budget and people don't perceive that they are safe in their own community. Talking to the elderly community, they want to see increased sidewalk lighting, increased sidewalks, period, because people who are disabled, you know, I've seen them have to ride their wheelchair in the street in District 1 because there's no sidewalks. All while Mr. Trevino touts that on his campaign website, you'll see one of the biggest things on there is his commitment to city sidewalks. Well, they're not being built in District 1. They're being built in the suburbs, outside Loop 1604. They're not being built in the city where we need them. Public transportation, accessible bus routes, increased bus routes, and eventually looking into medium and heavy rail. I know light rail was banned through uh, through the streetcar project. No one was on board with that, but really the reason why, because it was a bad plan. The city was selling us short. We don't need a streetcar. We need medium rail. We need heavy rail. Potentially looking at a subway system, a train system that can quickly and efficiently move people throughout the city, because as of right now, the city is not walkable. The city is not accessible to everybody. It's only accessible to those who are able-bodied and can afford a car. So we want to make sure that this city is accessible for everybody, no matter their income, no matter their ableness, no matter their situation.
Yeah.
They can enjoy the city just as much as someone who lives in Stone Oak or any of the nice areas.
Now, do you think that maybe like the transportation system like VIA is headed in a little bit right direction when it comes to VIA Link?
Via Link, is that the system where they have the vans pick up
Yeah.
people?
Yeah, they're the vans that they're not for the
They're being used like outside Loop 410 in areas that don't necessarily have a bus route but need public transportation.
right. Well, they got rid of the bus route, and right now it's in District 10. Um and they got rid of the bus routes and replaced them with vans, and it's not for the people that have medical disabilities. It's just for anybody, and you have an app and you download it and you can
Sort of like a Uber or Lyft.
kind of, yeah, and there's a little bit more places of access rather than the bus stops that they can come pick you up and then drop you off. So do you think maybe that would greatly benefit District 1, or I mean any district really, but District 1 in that regards?
Not necessarily, because again, we should not be competing with VIA should not be competing with Uber or Lyft, because Uber and Lyft are usually the cheaper, faster options. We don't. Why is our bus company trying to start a car ride program? If anything, City Council should be looking into a car share program like Vancouver or Seattle, where they have the Evo cars, or how we saw with the scooters, Bird, Lime, everything that increases public transport. That increases public transportation. So we see VIA heading sort of in the wrong direction as far as that. But again, they're making tough decisions because again, the city for decades has not had sustainable urban planning, and VIA is having to design routes that are not profitable. So we want to come in to the city, help the city from an infrastructure standpoint become more connected, because really you only see gridded streets inside Loop 410, and you get outside Loop 410 to the suburbs and you have these subdivisions and stuff like that. So it's really hard for a bus to navigate. So I can see why VIA would go with the vans. But again, we need to be moving away. That is not sustainable. That is San Antonio needs to move away from cars as, our mode of transportation. Uh, you know, if it wasn't for COVID, there would still be tons of traffic. There would still be all of these issues. And, looking to the future, if we get more people, that will still be an issue, is the amount of cars and the amount of space cars take up. So we want to move away from cars towards, you know, buses, light rail, or I'm sorry, excuse me, medium rail and heavy rail, and as well as scooter sharing programs. When city council banned the scooters from being used, or banned the scooter companies from having their large amount of scooters, we saw a negative impact on uh, ridership with Via, because me, myself, and a lot of other people use those scooters to make it to the bus stop on time, or as the last mile of your journey, you take the bus. You're a little far from your destination, but that's not to worry, because there's a scooter nearby that can get you that last leg of the mile. So really, we saw a missed opportunity there with Via and Lime and Blue Duck and all these other scooter companies. We had the opportunity to increase public transportation. For the first time, we saw people, riding outside, people, stuff like that. We've never seen bikes used in that manner, as many people as we had riding scooters. Uh, but again, what we saw was there's not many safe paths for a scooter. So, I mean, you can't ride your scooter on the sidewalk. You couldn't ride it in the road, because people will get angry, and it's just unsafe. So I can see why city council stopped. But again, they
Well,
only
because I
stopped.
mean, because people were being unsafe too, so there was
But
also that
but
whole.
but again, there's no safe place for, even if you ride a bike.
Mhm.
It's still
Yeah,
not safe. I mean, so you could try to blame it on the scooter, all we want, but really it's an infrastructure problem. There's no safe space for a rollerblader, a biker, a scooter, anything, because we've seen in the past decade tons of people have lost their lives riding, biking and stuff like that. We had a UTSA student lose his life. We had a doctor by Loop 1604 lose his life. And Loop 1604 on I-10, he was struck by a vehicle. So we could say that, it's scooters, da da da, but really it's unsafe driving, and that's really why we have to come at our infrastructure problem, from a number of different angles: increasing
Mhm.
public transportation, fixing roads, making the streets on a gridded system, instead of, you're driving on Agarita Ave and then you come into a dead end. Like, we really need to come at this from a myriad of different angles, so we can
Right.
address the situation fully.
Definitely, and I totally agree with that, because something that I always see government do is do a one size fits all approach, and it's not how it's not how our city is, or any city in that matter. So
Definitely.
definitely, it should be open to all different aspects. Because if you get elected, you're not gonna have all the answers. Anybody who is elected, they're not gonna have all the answers. But it's really important to really have a good team that's going to be sensible and cost efficient, and you know be willing to look at every aspect of it, and
Definitely.
totally agree. um and just so y'all can see, this is District 1. Let me zoom in a little bit. So this is 410 right here. So it goes up there. This is the airport. So if you live over here, that's District 9. So District 1 is, I'm assuming this is, can't see what that is. What is that? Oh, that's Broadway, I believe. Um, but yeah, you can kind of see here, and it comes back through Mrs. Alamo Heights, then goes down. And there's this Almost Park is not part of District 1. So so it's kind of weird the way it's lined out. Um what is this? I think this is 35. Yeah,
Yeah,
35 north. Then it goes to into the actual city itself. And I believe 35 is the border here. Um and I want to say I think this is 281. Yeah, 281.
37. Yeah.
Oh, 37, my bad. Yeah, 37 is the border there. So uh it actually jumps.
Yeah, and then just a chunk of the west side as well.
Yeah, that is interesting layout. But yeah, if you're that's if you live in that area,
Jer-
just make
Jer-
sure.
gerrymandering at its finest.
Well, and that's something that I think ranked choice voting would also change a lot too. Um, well, not maybe the city, but with state and federal levels, it could end gerrymandering. Um, but yeah. So, is there anything else that you want to maybe say in regards to your campaign that maybe we didn't get to touch on? Because I know you had did a forum the other day, and we couldn't hear you, and
Yes, some
and
audio
so
issues.
yeah,
Yes,
so I want to make sure that you have your message come across, and you say whatever you want to say regarding your campaign, and
definitely.
any last words, I guess.
Awesome. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come out and explain our stance on this on a number of issues. One final thing I guess I want to leave with is that all these issues that we have discussed, even issues that we didn't get to, are issues that for the most part have been plaguing the city for the past couple of decades, really. So we we should not be voting in a city council that will continue to do uh a terrible job, essentially, where we would come in. Mr. Trevino uh, is an architect. We don't need an architect running, managing the city council. We seen him strung up in the Alamo controversy, trying to promote his architecture plans, so that would benefit his architecture firm. And the American uh, or the Association of American Architects, for the Institute of American Architects, they did not like his plan for the Alamo. Uh, it's it, it just seems like he's been more focused on that stuff than making community sidewalks connect to each other. More about the other stuff. Where we would come in, I am uh I have a biology background. I studied environmental science. Health and environment are at the forefront of my campaign. And, through these solutions of increasing walkability, providing cleaner drinking water for us, this helps with our health, and stuff like that. So again, I encourage people to come to elect a scientist rather than an architect to city council, because really right now at this time we really need to be listening to scientists. We can't you know we can't take the chance that Mr. Trevino, uh, from his architecture perspective, understand these complex scientific uh, things, and then apply them to a city level. When last in the last 2 weeks, we were struck with the spectacular snow event, looked amazing, made the city look beautiful, but at the same time devastated this community. So again, we tried to come to Mr. Trevino in 2019, talking to him about CPS energy, and again, he ignored it. So if you're looking for someone to blame for your power being out, look no further than Mr. Trevino. Everybody will try to pass the buck, say, oh, it wasn't me, it's them. Oh, it wasn't me, it's ERCOT. Oh, it wasn't me, it's the governor. At the end of the day, you provide the budget for CPS. You could have easily been like, hey, let's throw a couple million in there for them to make sure that we have power in case it snows. So, you know, uh, again, we're going to have more climate issues like that. We're going to have more severe storms. We're going to have potentially a Hurricane Harvey here. We're these things, these events that are quoted as 100-year events, 500-year events, we don't even have paper records dating back to 500 years. So these are all guesses that they're 500 years events. They could be happening, at an increased rate, and we're seeing them happen at an increased rate. So we can't take the chance for Mr. Trevino to, not do his job and prepare this community for emergency events and stuff like that. It's gonna get hotter in the summer. And what has Mr. Trevino done? He's provided a white roof program. We're gonna need more than white roofs. We're gonna need solar panels on our roofs. We're gonna need increased insulation. We're gonna need a whole bunch of solutions that, frankly, I don't think Mr. Trevino knows to care about.
Okay. And I came across this yesterday and was kind of interesting. I don't know if you saw this or not.
Oh yes, yeah. It's again, they would rather let CPS hide their emails from that whole week than show accountability. And CPS. I don't want to put the blame all on CPS because CPS stated that they could have powered San Antonio, but ERCOT made them direct electricity elsewhere. So,
And then ERCOT said that it wasn't them.
So, yeah. So
who knows? Who
so
knows?
Everybody passing the buck. Everybody passing the buck. But again, if we had invested in solar panels and wind technology, geothermal technology, and battery technology, we could have been completely fine. We saw the governor and even our mayor come out and blame wind and solar for failing during the storm when they were the ones that, were performing, right up until the ice storm and even during and after. So again, it was the natural gas and coal plants that froze, and not the solar.
I think we can't go cold turkey right now. Like we can't just automatically switch because we definitely don't have that infrastructure yet. But there's definitely something to be done. We can do something. We can. And I already told people, watch, Elon Musk is going to do something. I bet you, even though some people don't like him, but I have a feeling somebody posted the other day that he's secretly tapping into the grid system. I don't know, but who knows? I mean, I don't know. It would be something beneficial if we can get something set up to where we don't have to rely on these things that are causing issues in environment. But as of right now, I don't think we're there yet for sure.
I mean, definitely a CPS. Again, this is a decades-long problem, and we'll probably need more than 2 years to solve it. But again, Mr. Trevino has spent the last 6 years not solving this problem, so he's put us behind even further, and we don't need to be put, behind another 2 years. So I'm asking San Antonio to look to the future, think of your children, think of your grandchildren, with this upcoming city council decision, because we've seen countries who have dedicated their entire existence to coal, like England, with the chimney sweeps and all that. It's heavily embedded in their culture, and we saw England close its last coal plant and within the past couple of years. So if a whole nation such as Great Britain could wean itself off of coal and have some of the cleanest air in the world, then we should be able to do the same. I think we can give Great Britain a run for its money. There's no reason why they should be winning the accolades for environmental stuff. Because I truly believe people around here do care about the environment. It's just when you have the city not caring about the environment, then the people see that it's not really a top priority. So why should they care?
Well, and I think, do you think maybe that's not the people's priority? You know what I mean? Like the citizens, like if that's not the actual citizens' priority, because as a council person, you have to do. I mean, you should be doing what the citizens want you to push on. So, I mean, do you think maybe that's why?
Not necessarily, because I just think people misperceive the problem. I've talked to elderly residents that told me they used to swim in Apache Creek on the west side when they lived in the courts. The, back we've known we've had that, but we've known we had that clean water, and they swam in it, back in the 60s or 70s, and then we go to that same creek today, and it's it's the water is not clear. There's trash and stuff like that. So maybe people are not perceiving the issue because they don't know the history behind the issue. Like, I'm sure people knew that, hey, this area used to be in top-notch shape until the city stopped caring about y'all. We see the city do care about areas that are wealthier and wider, but we don't see it caring about areas where Black or Hispanic people live. We don't see a lot of funds going to D2. We don't see a lot of funds going to the west side, but we see a lot of funds, going towards D9, D8, and D10.
Now, I'm going to say this just because this caught my eye or caught my ear when I heard it, is the possible reason why things don't get done in these neighborhoods is because they don't have the coalitions, the organizations of like neighborhood associations that are really, really strong and engaged with the community, that they really get things done, while the other ones that don't have that stability of people that are really champion behind the community as like organizations and neighborhood associations. Do you think that that could be a big reason why some of these districts don't have that engagement?
I just see it as these neighborhood associations are picking up the slack from where the city is not doing its job. So these areas are then forced to confront the city as a group of owners, property owners, and such. Again, the city. Perhaps you're right that it may not be a priority for the citizens, but it should be the city's priority to provide a safe and clean environment for all of its citizens. So that should be the city's top priority, because we can see residents complain about people dumping stuff in their alleys. We see it on the 311 app. People reporting trash, and it takes a couple of days and some nagging to get the city crews to come out and clean these things. So again, it may not be perceived as an environmental issue, but it's still being brought up as an issue.
Right.
And again, I came to Mr. Trevino's office, in 2018, talking about the Adopt a Spot program, and maybe we could expand that. and to include people who are just average citizens like me. Like, I don't have a neighborhood association. I live in apartments, so there's not a neighborhood association for me to join. But that shouldn't mean I can't do stuff for my community as well. Like, I try to adopt the creek behind me through the Adopt a Spot program, and the city gave me a couple trash bags and some trash grabbers and told me to go for it. Like, it seems like we can do
Well,
a little bit more than that. I mean, I try to oh
nope.
I Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I came to Mr. Trevino talking about, hey, could my group maybe start a community garden? Something that the community, this apartment community, could benefit from. Maybe we're not a neighborhood association, but we're a group of dedicated college students who are asking the city to help us. Like you said, dedicated people,
Mhm.
and Mr. Trevino never came to help us.
Mm.
But I mean, we didn't stop picking up trash. We're still out there.
Yeah.
You can visit almostcreekpark.com to see our accomplishments. uh we post every time we pick up trash to Instagram, so you could go out and see that. But we do have people who want to take pride in their community.
Right.
I've heard. So we need to be assisting those people who want to take pride. So it
Mhm.
may not seem like those people living in those areas don't care, but I'm sure they care. I'm sure they care very deeply, and the city has just forgotten about them, essentially.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's another reason why we really need to focus on our city elections, our city government, what's happening on in what's going on in our city. Because we need to engage and see what's going on, because we need to hold people accountable. We need to hold our government accountable at all times. Because they work for us, not the other way around.
Definitely.
So again, thank you for coming on, and thank you for everybody watching, staying on, and asking some of the questions, and um, get more informed. If you want to ask Matt, how can people get a hold of you?
They can contact me through my email, iad186 at gmail dot or at my.utsa.edu. I'll go ahead and share it in the chat.
Okay, awesome.
uh, yeah. uh, They can also reach me at my website, almostcreekpark.com. We have our organization up there, and we'll be creating a Facebook page, Matthew Guana for District 1. Soon you can follow me on Twitter at namdid_nam. I'll leave that in the comments as well. We share a lot of exclusive articles and stuff like that, exposing city councils, for lack of a better term, negligence and corruption. So
Hmm.
we'll, with this campaign, we'll continue to fight for the lower and middle class, and accountability of though our public officials.
Gotcha. Um, yeah, if you want to just drop that in real quick, and I'll share it on the screen. But while you do that, I do want to thank everybody for joining, and for staying on, being engaged, and uh, if the viewers, if you would like to donate to this live stream, you can do that, and I'll go ahead and provide the link below. I'm just doing this out of my own time, so I'm not getting paid for this. So I just wanted to try to give back to the community as far as for information, so that way people can have this information, get to know more about the candidates that are going to be on the ballot and that they could possibly vote for. So that way you can have a better idea in an unbiased way, in a different type of approach than what is normally out there, rather than forums and things like that. So definitely, if you can donate, if not, if you can donate also to Matt's campaign if you want to do that as well.
Thank you.
Did you post the comment? Oh, okay. Well, I can't post this, but here, let me just put on the comments, copy and paste. This is your email,
Yes.
and I'll put it's almost Creek Park.com, and then also your Twitter. Okay. All right, so there's that. Then your almost creekpark.com, and then your Twitter as well. So if you want to get a hold of him, those are the ways to get a hold of him. But again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Matt, for joining. I know it was a long conversation, but
No worries, no worries,
hopefully you were able to get whatever you wanted to out. And thank you, everybody, for joining on Instagram. I'm sorry that it has to be like this ghetto for having to film. Yeah, I'm filming my computer screen, but that's the only way that I can get to Instagram because they don't have another function. I mean, they do, but it's weird. But thank you, everybody, for joining on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. I appreciate everybody, and just continue to stay engaged. We'll have another interview tomorrow. It should be with a NISD school board trustee that we'll be having, because we really want to get to know these positions as well. Because honestly, I don't know much about school board trustees and school boards, so I think it's important to get engaged with those conversations. So thank you, Matt. Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome day.
Of course, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and if possible,
yeah.
If possible, I just want to say one thing. Oftentimes, people who are seen as progressive, like for example, former District 1 Councilwoman Maria Berrios-Zabal, councilwoman from the 80s for District 1, we often see people who are progressive are often seen as ineffective with when it comes to writing legislation or policy. And if elected, we will be effective. We will be proposing legislation. We will be getting these drafts out to people. We will be making this change. And I don't want to have any second guesses when it comes to this. We may be progressive in this campaign, but we will be effective.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you. All right, man. Well, have a good day, everybody. I appreciate it. And y'all stay safe.
Peace.